decided to work with the Parks and Rec. Number one was my first job. I done an internship, and Denise Scott Johnson hired me, and I felt like I wanted to make an impact with the youth here in our society.
One of the things that I love most about Forsyth Tech is it's all about helping people in the community. So when the opportunity came about for me to combine my business background with engaging in the community, I was very excited about it.
Well, my brother Second Chance is a nonprofit, started about 12 years ago. I saw so many young males in our community without positive male role models that making rough decisions that I felt like I needed to step in and help. For so many years, I was part of the problem, so I decided to be part of the solution.
It was my heartfelt passion and desire to educate and train people for success.
Just decided that there was a real need for advocates for children, for quality and for to create high standards in classrooms. And so from there it became a passion for me.
When I met my husband, he had told his uncle that I could make a red velvet cake. And at that point, I really hadn't made a cake. So I was like, I don't know how to make a red velvet cake. And he was like, well, you need to find out because I've told my uncle you can make a red velvet cake. So I Googled and searched how to make a red velvet cake. And of course, being my first time, I made this huge red velvet cake. And it was way too big for the party, but I'm a registered nurse. And so I took the cake that was left over to the hospital that night to work, and everybody fell in love with it. And so it was right around Valentine's Day, and 40 cakes later, I was a business.
Yeah, so I'm an investment banker by trade, and I've spent about 15 years working with companies and providing them strategic advice on how to grow and how to improve their operations, how to get out and raise capital and source investment. And the last 5 or 6 years, I've actually worked specifically with food service companies. And at one time, I was the CFO with J&S Cafeteria, which is the second largest cafeteria in the state. And so I started wanting to do something more in the fast food area. And so I developed this concept about 2 years ago. We acquired this building, and here we are.
Well, you know, this organization is a dream of people in the community. And so, and I support dreams, and I think dreams are very important. So for me, my passion or my dream is to help people who are unfortunate, such as for us as an organization, we see uninsured patients. And so my passion kind of comes from the fact that my grandmother, she did not have health insurance, and she passed away due to some complications that could have been managed if there was a United Health Center. So for me, getting involved with this was an easy win for me because it's natural for me to take care of people and want to help people.
I've been working with the Democratic Party for most of my life, and it really stemmed from my mom. She was a judge in the precinct, and I don't really remember her telling us that we had to do or get involved with politics, but it was just something that it was in our blood. It was something we did naturally.
Being a radio air personality is something I've been doing since my teenage years. Yeah, I went into radio, actually it was by accident. I got signed to a label, and the owner of the label walked me into WBLS and actually just told me I was going to be an air personality, and that's how I got started.
Got into the business mainly because of the things that we do and we grew up and doing around the area, and the people that brought me up, from my great grandma to my grandma to my mom, just being raised right. Just wanted to give back and give kids opportunity and see things that we wasn't able to see at a young age, and just showing them it's a way, no matter what side of town you on, it's a way out. I mean, it's things and it's opportunities to do great things without having the circumstances or just the ability. But I mean, if you got 24 hours in the day and God gave you grace, then everybody has the ability to do whatever they want to do. So we just want to give the guys and the kids just opportunity to see that and give them a chance.
So I was raised by my grandmother, who was a community activist, and so she took me along to every neighborhood association meeting, every community event, And so it's just in my DNA. And so what a great job now to be here with the City of Winston-Salem 24 years in, still doing the same thing. So I love it.
Well, this business at MBN is all about community. And I wanted to be more engaged in my community. I live in Boston Thurman, and I'm very proud of that area and particularly excited about the future. So that's why I got into the business.
Well, I got into this business, been a minister in the City of Winston-Salem. I've done a lot of outreach work, trying to solve issues as an expert. I found out that, that was a good thing to do, but it's not the best way to go about doing it. This business right here that I'm in is about asset-based community development. It's about going into communities and looking at people and recognizing that they're assets. They have interests, they have gifts, talents, and skills, and that it's not about looking at them as patients or customers or people who need help, but people who have the solution to their problems.
I got involved with neighborhood work because my grandfather, who was a huge community activist here in the city, it was to Salem, the late Robert Lee Sr. And I started this work at 9 years old in my own community, East Stein, which I'm president of as of today. And I've seen hands-on that people are able to come together and are able to focus on issues and problems that sometimes frightens them, but at the end of the day, when they organize together, it produces a change in the community.
Well, I got into the foundation business because I knew I needed to give back to my community. One of the biggest things growing up in this area was that we didn't really have anybody like myself that was able to give back. So I vowed when I had the opportunity to play, NBA basketball, to always give back to my city, especially the south side of Winston. And it's just been a blessing ever since, especially to see these young kids' faces when they actually can touch and feel a real live superstar who's been there and done the same things that they're going through. So it feels good to be able to do this and, like I say, to give back to my hometown.
The reason why it's very important to give back to make an impact in our society. You read every day about kids, teenagers, even adults getting in trouble and stuff that could have been prevented. And so I'm here to try to make, preventing issues to help our society. I can say the words of wisdom. I deal with a lot of kids sometimes with low morale, but I try to tell them, you can do anything through Christ Jesus who strengthens you.
One of the reasons why it's important to give back is because when you're committed to helping the community be better, you can't just let it happen on its own. You've got to be a part of that. And one of the reasons why it's important to me to give back is because a lot of people gave to me. A lot of the things that I've done in life are because people paved the way for me, or they even pulled me aside and said, you need to do this. Even if I didn't want to do it, they knew what was best. So I do the same thing. Well, some of the words of encouragement that I give wouldn't necessarily be encouragement. However, I would teach people or challenge people to become more of a critical thinker, more of a problem solver, be more committed to maintaining good relationships, and also be adaptable because things change all the time.
Well, I think giving back defines who you are. My legacy, I want to be remembered as a person that tried to make things better. And if I can't fix it or help it or make a difference, then I like to leave things alone. I don't want to be the one that comes in and makes things worse. I would just tell them not to give up. I'm a product of a single parent background, but I had mentors. No matter where I go, I talk about mentoring. I talk about the Mr. Pigotts, the Mr. Debnams, my high school coach, Jim Butler, the Keith Wilkes. I talk about the people that helped but didn't have to. They could have kept it moving. There were plenty of young brothers that needed some guidance, some redirection. And for some reason, Mr. Elliott, Robert Clemmer, these guys, Coach Pope, oh man, these guys put extra time in with me.
Because what you give to someone else, you serve yourself. The words of wisdom for me is for individuals to understand unity is everything, and to reach a community, we have to collectively come together.
As I have gone down this journey and as I have learned more about early childhood education, I've learned more about the community in which I live, I know that we are rich in resources, but we also have areas, pockets of food insecurity where we have lots of poverty, children who are not getting 3 meals a day, who are not getting quality pre-K experiences. And it's very important to me as both a member of this community and a leader in the community that we all need to come together and advocate for our youngest children. I would tell someone following in my footsteps to set your goals, follow your heart, listen to your heart, stay focused on your dreams, stay focused on your goals. But don't be so focused that you miss the opportunities, that other opportunities that might come your way.
Because somebody helped me, and I feel like if we all give back, then we'll all make it to where we want to be. And if I find myself struggling, then somebody will help me. And if I see somebody struggling, then I can help them. It's going to be uncomfortable, but don't give up. There are going to be days you're like, why did I do this? But when you get, like for me, a compliment from a kid or the smile on their face from the pictures and this is the best cake ever, and then, you know, our bakery is a ministry, and just like I get emotional for our weddings. I pray for people's union while I'm making their wedding cake. And to this day, I have no divorced weddings. People, none of them have been divorced, and I pride myself on just praying for their union. It's more than just the cake. It's a ministry.
Well, it's not important to give back. It's absolutely critical to give back. I'm absolutely someone that believes as a good corporate citizen, it's just not enough for us to be in this community and simply make money and make profits and earn money and return money back to investors and that kind of thing. I think we actually have to sow a seed in the community itself. I feel like we've got to figure out what you're most passionate about, and then you got to get out there and do something about it. I'm a huge believer that relationships matter. I'm a huge believer that you've got to get out and work hard. I work pretty much 6-7 days a week, sometimes 15-16 hours a day. But more importantly than just working hard and having good relationships, you also have to have self-discipline. I think successful people know how to choose and know how to make a decision to do things that other people sometimes can't decide to do or choose to do. It's not that they're not capable of it, they just can't make that decision. And so I think if you want to be successful in life, if you want to be successful in business, you have to have self-discipline, and you have to have that ability to motivate yourself. Even when you don't feel like it, you got to do what's important and what's most valuable to you.
I think giving back allows you to really understand the importance of what you do as an individual. I mean, giving back is part of life. I mean, all I have known is the fact to give back to the community. I think being passionate about your goals. I mean, when I mean by passion, I mean it's easy to follow your passion. It's easy to get up in the morning and hit the ground running because it's something that you love to do. Even if you don't get paid, you want to get paid, right? But if you don't get paid, it's your passion. So it kind of drives you. So I would always say to people, follow your passion. And so what I do here for my staff, I meet with each one of them and I ask them questions in reference to challenges and achievements. And my last question is, what is your passion?
I think when you know the history of what our people have gone through in terms of earning the right to vote, it's imperative that we vote and hopefully set an example for young people to do the same. As I said before, when you know the history, when you know the struggle that it took to vote for us to have that right, it should be just natural to want to give back, to want to be a part of the process to make a change. If you're not involved, you really don't have a right to complain.
Oh man, it's so important because you never know who's watching you, and you never know who you can help. It's always important to give back. It's selfish not to give back. Let's just say that. It's really selfish not to help the next person that wants to do the things that you're doing. there are so many words I can pass on to someone else, but I'm going to say in this industry, probably the worst thing you can do is burn bridges. You know, a lot of people burn bridges in this industry, and you wonder why you sometimes get stuck. And when you burn bridges, that kind of means you just can't cross it again. So I think that it's very important to not burn bridges.
It's definitely important. Like I said before, just doing the things that we did in the community coming up. Some of us didn't have the mentors to look up to give back. Some of our mentors was, didn't have positive habits all the time. But negative and positives turn out to be positive sometime anyway. So it's just important to give back because people need the opportunity. Some people don't even be able to see the light that's on the other side of the tunnel without you opening the door. So I just want to be that guy on the other side of the door to open it up to give people that light. Not every day gonna be good. Not every day gonna be bad. It's just the work that you put in. Everybody got a chance. Some only have certain opportunities, but if you put in the work, you don't need nobody to give you an opportunity if you give yourself an opportunity. So if you believe in yourself and give yourself a chance, it's always a way.
It's important to give back because by giving back, I'm giving back to myself as well, right? So every time we pour into somebody else, without knowing it, we're pouring it into ourselves. I would say be your true, authentic self. And community works, but community is work, right? So you've got to work at it and pace yourself.
The reasons that I wanted to be engaged in my community was because one morning while I was walking the puppy dog, it dawned upon me that there must have been people years ago who sat down and said, we want to build a good community, particularly a community that will serve senior citizens, because I live in a senior citizen community, and they did such a wonderful job. The homes that we live in are very comfortable, the area feels safe, and I thought, I want to be a part of that. That is the legacy that I want to leave.
It's important to give back, that once you learn, different type of ways to improve your quality of living by partnering with others, by building associational life and recognizing that the more people at the table, the stronger the voices are heard. I think that's what really is important for me, is for knowing that I must give back. Once I learned that, to share the things I learned with others.
It's important to give back, especially in this day and time we're living in. So our millennials could see that somebody cares about them and their community. So I always say that I know I cannot sweeten the entire Pacific Ocean, but if I can reach back to my generation behind me, and so they can see that I am a testament that when you get involved in your community, you can bring forth change in your neighborhood.
The community. It starts there. Of course, you're raised in your family, but that community has a big part of your life growing up. And if you're able to expand it, make it better, do things that nobody was able to do prior to you coming, why not do it? And it helps out. It helps these young kids and even these parents see that there's bigger and better things out there if you just strive for it. And that's it's simple, but it's a tough thing to do, and that's why I love doing it, because once you buy into it, the blessings come, and you see people, enjoying the seeds that you planted, and they take it and try to pass it on to others. Words of wisdom, I would say, is always hold yourself accountable. Then you'll never give up, you'll never quit, and people always see that hard work coming through. And after you hold yourself accountable, just commit to it. Understanding that this is what you do, this is what you love, and if you continue to stay focused on it, blessings will come regardless of what the situation is. So, yeah, committing and accountability are two things, the words of wisdom that I would use for anybody.